All right, do you want the feds snooping in your phone? No. Well, the top lawmaker in the land today said encryption turns the, quote, internet and communications into a law-free zone. Ooh. And he wants to be able to see exactly what you're doing at all times. Yes, that's Attorney General Bill Barr now calling for big tech companies to give law enforcement a backdoor into our phones because the encryption used by Apple, Facebook, WhatsApp, and other messaging platforms is just too tough to crack.
There has been enough dogmatic pronouncements that lawful access simply cannot be done. It can be and it must be. We are confident that there are technical solutions that will allow lawful access to encrypted data and communications by law enforcement without materially weakening the security provided by encryption.
Yeah, good luck. Democrat Senator Ron Wyden, a top privacy advocate, he wasn't too happy about Barr's proposal.
Today, I fear, rather I expect, that if we give the Attorney General and the President the unprecedented power to break encryption across the board and burrow into the most intimate details of Americans' lives, they will abuse those powers.
Number one, I love a good lateral lisp. Number two, Wyden is crazy on some things, but he's absolutely right about this when he's in this lane. Tech companies also argue that if they were to create a backdoor for law enforcement, it would undoubtedly be exploited by criminals, hackers, and government goons. So should the AG slow his roll a little bit here? Here to discuss, former CIA analyst and host of the Buck Sexton Show. It is Buck Sexton. Welcome back, Buck.
Kennedy.
Come on, man. This is, I mean, you know that this is ridiculous and problematic. And it's not just the good guys trying to get some information from the bad guys in critical moments. It really opens up the door to so much more.
Yeah, I do agree with you, although I would also say that I think there are good faith arguments on both sides here. But I think on balance, having the government insist that private companies create deficiencies, because let's be honest, that's what it is. I mean, you are creating a hole, you're creating an opening, a backdoor in technology that they're spending, I would note, millions, perhaps, hundreds of millions of dollars of R&D over a period of time, trying to make sure that exactly that thing can't happen.
That's what consumers want.
Well, consumers wanted it, and also, as somebody who just spent some time in China and went in without any electronics because I'm aware of what the Chinese environment is for surveillance and for counterintelligence.
That's absolutely right.
They're going to be able, any vulnerability that you create in the U.S. market, everyone has to think of as a vulnerability that can be exploited on a global scale. That
is the reason for China's being. All they want is that exploitation so they can use our technology against us. And they are hoping and praying that the Attorney General has his way, because guess what they're going to do? They're going to infiltrate, and they're going to do a real tap dance in 2020, Buck.
Yeah, and let me just say that think of how valuable, if there was, let's say, in the iPhone, a backdoor. And keep in mind, when we had this debate before in this country over, I believe it was a San Bernardino shooting,
yes,
that phone, they managed to get in, even when they said, we'll never get in, and then they hired a private contractor and they got in. I mean, I think the government, we've got some very expensive computers in the intelligence community, at the FBI and NSA and these places. So if they really want to get in, they probably can. But think about how valuable this backdoor would be as a thing that you could sell, say, to the Chinese, or a thing you could sell just on the open or the black market.
Once it exists, you can't make it unexist. And this was the most problematic aspect of the AG's professional past. And people like Rand Paul brought this up. He has a philosophy that has not changed. It has not softened. And he was one of the architects of the surveillance state, which has been so incredibly abused across a multitude of agencies.
I'm sorry, I was getting the delay thing there. I keep thinking, okay, here we go. No, I would just say that you want these companies to not even be in a position themselves to look at your stuff. And so everyone has to keep in mind that if you have a backdoor for the government, that also means the company, people in that company know about this. And think about how much power that would give them. That essentially people would be thinking, well, this information is entirely secure, but it turns out that that this company can actually get into it whatever they want, and then that information can get out there. So look, it's tough because now you get into the one, there's a missing child, we've got an iPhone, can we break into this? I understand the other side of this, but I do get very uncomfortable with government saying that you have to make deficient products.
And that's what warrants are for, and a lot of these tech companies honor a vast majority of the warrants that are given to them by law enforcement. We have to go, but Buck Sexton, what a great conversation. Thank you so much.
I feel like we just scratched the surface.
We did. We're like lottery tickets. We're always scratching and always winning.
But we scratched well. Good to see you.
Amen. Thanks, Buck. Coming up.